Hey guys. Okay, so a couple of things I just wanted to go over real quick. I know in my last video we did 9 total measurements so far for our main listening position. One thing I want to reiterate, which I haven't, is the U mic must be pointed to the ceiling. Now, again, if you want to be very technical, you could, maybe use a small lever to make sure it's leveled, but for the most part, you want it to point up. You don't want it pointing towards the speaker for like an RT60 or, when I'm doing magic beans, you're pointed directly at the speaker when you're doing a near field. You want this as straight as possible, okay? It has, obviously, depending on how many channels, it could be, 3.1 or, 9.4.4, and you could go all the way up. So you definitely want to to have the microphone standing directly up. Again, with puck mics, I'm not 100%. I know basically they sit flat one way with Odyssey mics. But again, if you're using an omnidirectional U mic, U mic 2, etc., you want to be pointing directly up. So moving over to the next set of measurements. Again, if you only want to do 9 measurements for your particular seat, you don't have to watch the rest of the video. So after we did position, I believe it was position 9, which was 10 inches lower than where I was originally. Obviously, I set the mic up again back to 41 inches, which is the tip of my nose. You want to kind of, I'd say, again, depending on how many seats, we're going to do a total of 3 seats, just to show you and kind of quicken the video a little, because I want to really get into the support settings and stuff like that. My next couple of measurements, I've done it a few different ways. I'm going to kind of stick to the diagram that Michael posted in our group. Basically, the remaining, let's say we're going to do, let's just do 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to do 15 total. Actually, let's just do 13 for the purpose of, the video. And you could follow after. Again, remember, the first measurement, the most important. Everything else is a spatial average, okay? So what I do is when I take, let's say we're going to position 10, which we are. Okay, originally I'm using this as like my, I guess, like pointer. This is where the MLP was for the first position. I measured about 27 inches to the tip, 8 inches from the actual recliner with the tip of my nose. So I'll move over, I'd probably say about 3 feet, 2 to 3 feet. You could even, if you don't want to, if you're tired of doing measurements with an actual measuring tape and you have your tape or whatever the case is, you don't have to be exact, but how I do it is I move the next position, okay, basically 27 inches from the wall. So I'll be about 27 inches. I kind of split the seat. So obviously I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seats here, okay. I kind of split the seat, okay, so I'll kind of put it in the middle, okay, of the seat, and then I'm going to go 27 inches because that's how it was to the tip of my nose. So I do 27 inches, and then obviously, when I say also, guys, sound wave, I mean pink noise, I just, again, however you want to call it, or whatever you want to call it. And then, again, you don't have to go in order, okay? I would suggest the first 9 measurements in order, okay? Meaning order 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, but basically get 9 here and then move over to your 10th measurement. So I'll do 27 inches from the wall to the actual tip of the U mic. And then what I'll do is I'll do the position on mine was 4 because we did 1, 2, 3, and then 4. This would be, remember, I'm doing a foot apart here. So I do a foot from the 8 inches. So it came out to 27 inches to the tip and then another 12. So I measure 39 inches for my next position. And the reason why I'm doing 3 feet is, 3 feet, honestly, I did a set of measurements last night, came a little bit left of, where the U mic is, facing towards the wall. But I've done, splitting the seat. I've done a little over to the right. It just depends. Again, OCD, if you want to be exact, where the head is for these positions, where, again, the most important is the first position, but if you want to be where the head is, that's kind of where the tip of my nose is at that 27 inches. That would be 10. And then remember I told you in a couple of videos back that Dirac works well with more on the front measurement, especially if you have a back wall. Okay, so I'm just going to move this up on the 11th measurement. 27 inches from the wall was the first or the 10th measurement, and then the 11th is a foot. So I'm not a foot from here to here. Okay, again, this I think comes out to almost about 4 feet. But either way, I'm just splitting right down the middle of the actual back of the couch. That would be position 12. And then for position 13, kind of the same thing. I would move it back to 27 inches from the wall to the tip of the mic, which puts it back to where the tip of my nose was, or the tip of, whatever nose is in this area. Again, a couple inches off, not a big deal. You want to be a little more precise with your MLP, but these are extra measurements. It's just giving Art that fuel to give you, the best results. So this would be measurement 13. And then again, going 12 inches. I'm keeping the 12 inches between these positions, 10, 11, 12, 13, because I'm following the position 1 and position 4. So, obviously you get the point. And then, and I'm keeping the mic the same height. Again, 42 inches or 41 inches around from floor to tip, because that's where my nose was originally on the MLP. If you want to vary here, you can. I've done it. Yesterday, I actually did a new calibration, and I went up to 2 feet between the mic positions. So I did mess around a little bit, but I actually varied the height a little bit on the front here, and then I went a little higher there and there just to see. But to start, if this is your first time, I would kind of just keep it simple. So a total of 3 different up and down measurements you would do if you follow this pattern I'm doing. On my positions, position 7, 8, and 9, or the up and down. And I did between 8 and 10 inches. Here I'm keeping it the same. So we would be on 10, 11, 12, 13. And then again, I have one more seat that, my family uses. And just another FYI, guys, we have a living room downstairs. This is kind of my man cave. So my family's not, when I told you earlier, it's 85% of me watching here. It is, because again, if my wife's in the mood to watch Ready Player One or Top Gun Maverick instead of using the Sonos soundbar downstairs with no multi-channel, we'll come up here and obviously they'll sit and be blown away by the sound. So we would do 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 again, putting it 27 inches or so. And then for 15, because 15 would put it at the next seat, okay, I would either stop there, okay, so that kind of gives me 2 to 3 seats, okay. And again, this is how I used to do it. Out of the 200 plus measurements, I'd say at least 200 of them are in this pattern. Sometimes I vary up and down here, but I tried something a little different. Last night I did 2 presets again. Same thing, we're doing 2 feet between mic positions all around. And then I brought it out to here, and instead of doing, I did, this would be 10, I'm losing count, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I would put it right kind of between the 3, 1, 2, 3, kind of right in the middle. And that would be 15. And again, maybe lower, higher, depends. What I was trying to accomplish with new measurements is bringing the mic over here, okay? Kind of like away from any kind of seating, just to kind of, because my right tower overlaps. If you take a ruler, it kind of goes directly to where my surround is. But again, the closer you are to the speaker, sometimes the way the algorithms work, it might not sound great. Art does a great job with that. I've ran Odyssey, Multi-EQX, and it kind of doesn't do a great job in here. So if your seating is just starting from your MLP and going to the left, or vice versa, then whatever the opposite of where your seating is, I wouldn't go crazy. So that's basically how I set up my mic positions. Again, the back wall for you guys, I promise to give you some, tips and stuff. If you have an open living room, let's say like my downstairs, my couch is here, and then I have my kitchen, and I'm probably about 15, 20 feet back. You could do, I'd say for your positions that you were doing up here, meaning like at the same exact positions of number 6 and number 1, you can move it back. Maybe go about a foot, maybe 10 to 12 inches, and then use those two height positions versus bringing them where originally I had it when I raised the mic to here or to here. That's for guys. Again, I would not suggest doing that if you have a back wall like myself, especially if I think the exact here was about 17, 18 inches, give or take. I would not suggest to do that, especially if your whole theater runs on a back wall. But again, like I wanted to explain to you guys, if you have room in the back, again, even if you want to do, I told you not to go crazy. If you're going to go to like 15 to 17 measurements, maybe put one behind the couch, 1, 2, and 3. Again, Dirac kind of performs a little better up front when the mic's up front versus in the back, especially with the back wall. So again, this is the way I do my mic positions. Hopefully it helps you guys. If you want to focus on one seat, okay, the 9 I started with, okay, and then you could stop there or move your way down. Again, I have 13.1 or 5.3.6, so I do that many measurements. I've been playing around. I tried a few on the opposite side. Didn't really sound great, so I'm going to have to do something a little different. Kind of basically just keep going this route. And then I've done, calibrations all the way up to here, where no one really sits here. This opens up on the bottom and this opens up. So it's like almost like a sofa area. So if, we have like friends over and they're laying here and they're, watching the TV, I'll give them a mic position. They don't really care. They're over maybe once a year, so I don't have to go crazy. But for your everyday, what you do and movies, music, this is basically what you want to focus on. This is if you have, people sitting here with you. Now on a normal basis, I would definitely, when I'm talk normal, if you have your wife, your girlfriend, your significant other, sitting and you have other people in the family, don't cheap them out. You know what I mean? Give them that wide cinematic Dirac art, lovely room correction. Obviously you want to focus on yourself. It's a little selfish, this hobby, but again, if you have a family, friends, whatever the case is, always could do a preset. A lot of people do tight and wide, however you guys want to do it. Just trying to give you the basics and the gists. But now we're going to move on to the mic screen and the measurement sliders. Hope you enjoyed this one, guys. See you in the next video.